Hello, folks, and welcome to this special newsflash broadcast where we're going to announce our crazy plan for this year. Because me and the Make Music Your Life, what I'm calling the Make Music Your Life core team, so some of them are, in fact, I think all of them, now are coaches, but they also make the amazing things that we do here work behind the scenes. All of us bar one, who doesn't make music, are going to try and attempt a crazy project this year, which we will fill you in on shortly. But first of all, we're going to Brady Bunch it up. And I'm going to introduce the core team to you. So with through the special method, just like they did on that TV show that we all of a certain age know and love. So, Luke. Hi, Luke. And I've got to unmute you. There we go. How are you doing, Luke? Oh, I can't hear you. That's strange.
I think you unmuted the wrong person.
I didn't mute anyone in particular. You've muted yourself, Luke. There you go. So yeah, it says I muted the guest. Right, there we go. So this is the first time we've done this like this. So for some reason Luke is muted. Anyway, let's keep on introducing the others. This didn't happen on the Brady Bunch, mainly because they weren't talking at this point. It would have happened had they been talking at this point in the opening credits. And Tim, hi. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm very good. And we've got Alex. How you doing?
Doing well.
Oh,
yourself.
There we go. Hello. I'm covering you up. And then we have, finally, last but not least, Joni. Hi. How you doing down there?
How you doing? Okay.
And if you're wondering what the strange, haunting noises are that are coming through, it's Joni's husband playing some unusual looping music, apparently. Which might or might not be Barry Manilow inspired. But anyway. So, Luke, can we hear you? No, we can't hear Luke. So, yeah, we're going to have to. I don't know what's going on there, Luke. You might have to leave and come back to try and see if you can. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of your face off here, and let's talk about what actually the crazy plan is. Now, I'm sure that some people watching this won't be particularly surprised by what the crazy plan is, because we've. Here he comes. Let's see. Yeah, because we have kind of half attempted this before. Hello, Luke. Can we hear you now?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yay! Hello, Luke. Hi, Luke.
Hello, Mike. How are we doing?
I'm good. So yeah. Yeah, I'm sure some people won't be that surprised because we've attempted it before, but we're making it official, and we're actually kind of going to implement a thing that we do regularly, which means that we really do it, because it was a little bit earlier this time than this time last year. Me, Luke, and Arash said we were going to release one track a week, and I got as far as, I don't know, was it March or something? And then it was a bit before that, and I started releasing an album a week, because I was doing this live streaming thing. And when I decided to do the one track a week release, I wasn't doing that. So I was doing this live streaming thing, and then it got to the point where I thought, actually, the release a week isn't that important. What's most important is this live stream every day. So I continued to do that and made a conscious decision just to stop doing the release a week, because it was interfering with the sort of progress I was making with the live stream a week, which seemed to be more of the important thing for my strategy. But I always intended to come back to the release a week and add it to what I was already doing. But our wonderful, heroic, bearded friend over here, he actually did it in 2021, and in fact he's still doing it right now. And I don't think it was the beard. I really don't. I hope it wasn't, because I'm not growing a beard. I don't want to look like that. I really don't. It's not a good idea. So yeah. So hopefully it's not the beard, because if so, me and Joni are in trouble. That allowed him to release one track a week. And in this stream, we're actually going to go through a few different things which will actually kind of uncover sort of why first, why on earth are we doing it? How are we going to do it? What are some of the things that might make it difficult, and how we're thinking of overcoming it? So first of all, let's talk about, with my Brady Bunch friends here, why? Why on earth are we doing this thing? So, Luke, given that you're the expert in this merry band, why did you do it in the first place, and why are you continuing to do it now? I mean, you're not like a worldwide superstar, are you? Even after doing it over, I mean, maybe you are in some strange, I don't know, kind of flat earth like bearded sort of music area. Maybe you've got your own genre or something I don't know about. But as far as I know, you're not a massive worldwide superstar yet. So why on earth do this?
Well, I'm huge in Romania.
Okay.
But
excellent.
I basically looked at like all the goals that I had, all the goals that I might have, and all the goals that I had heard from other people that seemed like reasonable goals that I could potentially have. And it seemed like doing this was the best way to accomplish any and all of those.
And what were like the top 3 goals? I mean, you don't have to be accurate, but what were some of the more important goals that you had that this particular project is accomplishing?
Well, I think growing a fan base and having a fan base, getting better at making music, and and then enjoying making music.
Okay, and has that, over this first year of doing it, over 2021, did that happen?
Yes. I think the way I looked at it was that for the first year of doing it, I would focus on the capability of doing it and developing that capability and making it something that was simpler, right? Because my thought was, if I try to use this off the jump street, off the starting line, primarily as a way of growing my audience, it could be too much, and it may take away from my focus. And I don't know, I'm kind of dumb, so maybe other people could handle this. So that was my initial thought, because it's like, okay, well, once I have this capability, and once it is relatively easy, what I'll do is I'll start slowly integrating some fan building stuff. And that's what I've done over the past month or two. Like, you know, running an ad and getting some actual pictures done, and getting a music video made, and doing those things slowly but surely, but recognizing that, okay, once you build an audience, the best way to keep them satisfied, if you are attempting to attract music fans, is to give them a lot of music. Like, I'm a big fan of steak, and I would much rather have a steak every week than a steak every month. And if you are trying to target the people that are most likely to spend money on music or steak, the thought is that by doing it frequently, you're going to make them more satisfied. And on top of that, people are always like, well, what do I post on social media? What is my thing that I'm going to share? How do I build a social media strategy? And if you're working on a track a week, every single one of those tracks, you can embed within it a story. You can embed within it an aspect of your life. You can share something about yourself. You can use it as an inspiration from one of your inspirations. So it's knocking off all of that box of like, well, what do I share with people? Well, what is inspiring you to make music? What inspired you to make that song? There you go. That's one. Did something crazy happen in your life? Write a song about that and talk about that and release it that week. Release pictures with it. And so that was kind of the way I was thinking about it. And then I also thought, okay, well, if I do eventually want to, let's say, like, get, it was like the best way to build a fan base is to have really amazing music. And the essential skill to making really amazing music isn't mixing, mastering, writing melodies, whatever. It's going from taking something from nothing into a firm and completed something. That is like the skill, and that's the hardest thing. And that's what this is practicing, right? And then to top it all off, the thing that I wasn't expecting and what has made it now easier to continue, that I think a lot of people that are musicians that are probably in this world will probably relate to, is there's this creative satisfaction that has come where it's like I'm looking at all this stuff I made and it's like, wow, I can't believe I made all that. That's amazing. And it just like, it's this like, I don't know, there's, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, you want to make music and you have that like desire, when you look at doing this and you do it and it happens for a while, it like is satisfying this desire that it's almost like you don't know that it could be satisfied, but you kind of do. I mean, I'm sure you felt it when you were like in your like, more prolific stages and even doing, I'm sure with the live stream, you probably feel it now. And it's like, you feel, I don't know, it's like it's a similar feeling to like you have like a really hard day of like work in the yard or something and you did everything you possibly could. You didn't waste any time. And you sit down and you eat a meal and take a hot shower and you're just like, yeah, but it's like, it's that, but it's like translated into this desire you have to make music.
I think that one of the problems that, particularly at this point in time, that we have as musicians is that we've been at a kind of turning point for a while where it's like there's the old music industry and then there's the new music industry, and the new music industry is sort of germinating and growing. The shoots are coming through now, and in the old music industry, success was largely about people who had been doing something like a track a week. I mean, not actually maybe releasing it, but something like it behind closed doors, getting discovered by a label or, kind of bashing down the door of a label, and eventually the label or a label or a manager or whatever it might be, nurturing that artist into, and then, sort of, here it is, right? Or alternatively, there being a bunch of releases and then one of them just going nuts, and then suddenly this unknown person becomes. But the thing is, what hasn't been seen is what got them there, which is something like the equivalent of a track a week. So people have this image that people are kind of come out of the womb being, Jay-Z or whatever it might be. And that just is not what happened in any case. They got there through some kind of being prolific, through some kind of development. And in the new music industry, the one that's growing, the gatekeepers are no longer as important as they once were. They're still there in certain areas of the industry, but they're no longer, and we don't have to rely on them. We have to rely on ourselves. and our audiences. And the wonderful thing about the new music industry is that you can actually get to the point of being that kind of artist by growing your music business. It's a becoming music, and the artists are becoming rather than being the finished product. I mean, there is no such thing really as the finished product, because if you speak to anyone like Jay-Z or anyone of that caliber, all they can hear are the mistakes. So they still don't feel like the finished product. And if they do, well, they're probably going to make themselves irrelevant. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular now, so actually what we are doing here is really the same as musicians have always done, but just in public. So, and I think, you know, that is part of the opportunity, is that what the modern technology and tools have allowed us to do is to build our businesses in the course of doing that. To build our I mean, if you don't want to call it businesses, but build our audiences, build our tribe, build our fan base in the course of doing that. You don't need to be the finished product. Of course, the better the music you make, the easier it's going to be, the more people who will kind of flock to your stuff. But how you do it is by releasing the music, because you haven't actually completed the creative process until you actually release something. So, Alex, let me ask you. So I think it's fair to... Hang on, stop waiting. Hello. Yeah, so Alex. So I think it's fair to say that of all of us, you might be the most nervous about doing this. So what's the reason? What's the reason for that?
Yeah, like it's kind of a mix of nervousness and excitement at the same time.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I always say to my kids. Are you sure you're nervous? Are you sure you're not excited?
I think one of the biggest reasons for that excitement or nervousness is just it being so different than the normal pace that I usually have, and forcing me to go to those uncomfortable positions, which I know will be great and beneficial, but there's going to be some some work to be done internally to be able to get over my own BS, so to speak.
What when you say those uncomfortable positions, what give me an example of one that you're expecting, or kind of what you know, when you kind of feel nervous about it, what image or what position, if you like, comes into your head?
Yeah, there's a few things. So there's the first and foremost is the fear of judgment and rejection, like releasing something that might be seen as not good or that I don't feel good about. And the other side of that is that so far, all the music that I have produced with my band or recording other artists, producing other artists, my own stuff, has been very much a lot of time put in, a lot of focusing in and like putting in the time so that it would extend farther than a week usually. And for me to shorten that and to let go of the stuff that's unnecessary or not even making the overproducing things is something that I would maybe typically do. And letting go of that is going to be a different interface with me and my own music, I think.
And I mean, one of the things that we've been talking about in order to get you there is what is the definition of a track, right? Because the, you know, there's the thought experiment question. If I had to release a track a week, if I had to, and the quality had to improve, and I had an hour a day to do it, and I don't know, you know, any other number of limitations, then what would I do? Then I mean, you know, at the moment, I mean, you wouldn't say a track is I'm going to record the London Symphony Orchestra every week. Yeah, I mean, that's not because, but So what is the minimum amount that you could do that could be called a track? And this doesn't, by the way, starting here or having this available doesn't mean you always do that, but you can. So what would be the minimum amount that you could do that you for it to be a piece of music that you would release?
Yeah, that's an interesting, very interesting point. And one quick thing is it really makes me think that the idea of quality or the perspective of quality within music is so open-ended and so subjective. And even myself, when I think about the music that I love, I obviously have an affinity for technical music, weird stuff, crazy production, but I also love simple music, very, minimalist and very simple. And I feel like that's probably where I have to focus a little bit more, is simplifying things and really a lot, or just exploring how I can express simple ideas to have the maximum impact, just as much as some crazy production or some crazy idea, and find that within myself instead of always leaning into the overly complicated and like all the nerdy stuff. So it's kind of just taking a step back and looking at how else can we explore high quality music in a way that's just more simple and more straightforward, to make it so that we can do it in a way that's not hinging on over perfecting things or overthinking things.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm going to choose two examples which I would say are kind of similar levels. Okay, so you don't go, yeah, well, the simple one you chose is one of the world's greatest sort of musicians who's ever lived, because the example I'm putting against is a group of the greatest musicians also who've ever lived, right? So we're comparing like with like here. Is a Jaco Pastorius on stage with his looper, the great bass player, is that worse than the London Symphony Orchestra playing Beethoven's Fifth?
No, you can't.
No.
I don't think that anyone could say that. No.
But it's a lot simpler. Yeah. Now, obviously, the as I said, I've kind of already brought the objection up. Oh, yeah, well, yes, Jaco Pastorius is a genius. It's like, yeah, but okay. But the thing is, I've just compared it to the best of the, one of the best orchestras in the world, which is way, way, way more involved and complicated. So that doesn't hold water. That argument doesn't exist for those comparisons. At your level, you playing one instrument is not worse than you building, making a track with 5,000 instruments. It just isn't. Right? It may well make you feel uncomfortable in a different way, but it's almost like time isn't the issue so much when you have that situation. What is the issue?
I feel like there's still something within me that attaches hard work, and this is subconscious, hard work to quality, even though that's not true. And I've experienced otherwise, where sometimes in a splurge or just in one session, a whole idea will come together, which is some of my best stuff that just happened really quick. But there's something subconscious I still got to work through, of time and work equals quality, although that's not true. So
no, it absolutely isn't. Like often, why is it that why is that so strong in so many people? When it has been demonstrated to you so many times that some of your best ideas come out immediately. I mean, it's almost like it's not a fluke because it happens with such regularity. I mean, that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that every time you do something fast, something brilliant will come out, because every time you do something slow, something brilliant doesn't come out either. Right? So yeah, but why is it that we only notice something brilliant coming out when we do something slow, and we completely and utterly just dismiss when something comes out brilliant fast? We don't actually make that connection. Is it maybe our schooling? Is it maybe what our parents told us? Is it our culture? Is it the culture of coercion that we have? we must work hard, and lazy is bad, or I don't know, easy is lazy, or all this nonsense. Yeah, simple and easy is not bad. It's simple and easy. Quality is different to hard. So, and one of the great things about a track a week, and even the amount that I did, is that it actually is a forcing function for understanding this. I mean, Luke. And by the way, what we're going to do with this is we're going to do a show like this, a Brady Bunch style show like this every month, catching up on where we're at with it. I mean, it might not be exactly a month, but we're certainly going to do 12 of these just to keep up with it and check in and see who's fallen off and the challenge that we've had. We're going to make it as valuable as possible, with actual kind of insights about what we're learning and what we're doing and what we're using. And actually, after this, I'm not going to talk about myself and how I'm going to approach it much on this stream, because after this, I'm doing a Zentor live stream where I'm talking about how exactly I'm going to approach this, because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. But I've got some ideas. So yeah, and the link to that is in the description and pinned at the top as well. So before I move on to Joni, I just want to come back to the expert, Luke, because I think it's fair to say that you've used the automatic music machine to do this track a week thing. I mean, how have you used the automatic music machine to do it? What's your automatic music machine kind of looked like in doing it? How has it helped?
Oh, well, I mean, it helps keep you organized. That's for sure, like without question. Because one of the keys was always, it's very easy to think like, okay, well, I'm releasing a track a week. It's a Monday. I'm releasing on Friday, and I don't know when I'm going to release yet. I should only think about the one that I'm going to release on Friday.
Which is breaking one of the fundamental automatic music machine rules. You just don't do that. You're not allowed to.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is I was a bad boy, and I tried that for a while because it was like, so at first I used the automatic music machine for like 3 months to get, I think, 2 months ahead. And then as soon as the 2 months ahead tracks ran out, it was like, I think I had like 2 or 3 left. It's like, wait a second. I've been like way less, I guess, urgent's not the right word, because it wasn't that I was being it's just I wasn't moving forward as quick. So I was like, okay, I think what I need to do is try to finish it the week I'm going to release it, and just keep it as like
embrace the deadline. I think the phrase
embrace the deadline essentially always.
Yeah.
And then, so what happened was, at first, as I started embracing the deadline, I was a little freaked out, thinking, can I do this? What will I do? But then as I started to realize, okay, well, if I have 2 or 3 hours, I can put something together. Even if I have less, I can put something together. Then I started to realize, okay, well, let me try just touching 1 or 2 tracks, and obviously still splurging, where there's still a new idea being generated at least every day. And it was like it was really, I don't want to say painful, but it was a lot more stressful when I wasn't touching other tracks than it was when I started to integrate other tracks in, because it just lets it just lets you see it in a different light every time, and it keeps you creating. And a lot of times, the solution for the track you're working on is found in working on another track. It's like it's almost it's like you realize that, like, oh, well, this part of this track is really working, and that's what that other track is missing. So I just need to do that there, and it's obvious. And it's almost like they're all talking to each other. And then when it comes to a Monday, you've got like 3 tracks that are kind of they're not at 10%, they're at 50%. They've been touched, they're developed, and they have the purpose, they have the general idea of what the track is going to be developed. So then it just becomes a matter of just doing it.
Yeah, because like essentially, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what on earth the automatic music machine is, there's a link in the description for more info on it. But basically, this is the an image of my automatic music machine. As you can see, I've completely emptied. In fact, I've got to move this splurge column. I'm going to empty this splurge column into the sketchbook and start from fresh. Because one of the things that I have realised, certainly for me anyway, is that getting ahead isn't going to work. Because it'll just be, I'll get ahead and then I won't do anything, and then I'll just be in the same position. So I'm going to actually start today with my first splurge. So I've got to empty the splurge column. And so I'll have a completely empty automatic music machine. And the idea of the automatic music machine, for those who don't know, is that we work on multiple pieces of music at the same time. So you've got this almost like a production line, and you're like, oh my God, you're systematizing creativity. How dare you? What about the magic? Robin, what about the magic? You're destroying the magic. But you're not. You're allowing the magic to happen because you're removing many of the decisions and you're systematizing those decisions into the machine. You're allowing yourself the brain space to actually create the magic in the process. And you're making a lot of decisions about what to work on, based on what's in your machine. So at the moment, this isn't going to tell you a lot because I've got nothing there because I'm going from blank. But essentially, you're cycling around pieces of music in these columns: discover, draft, and done. And the ones that are done are the ones that some of the ones in done will make it to release, and the ones in done are the ones that we will be preparing for release. But at the same time, you're actually creating at least one new idea every single day in this splurge column over here. Again, I've got to move these over back into the sketchbook because I'm not going to use it. As I said, I'm going from completely blank. So anyway, so essentially, this will be, when I say full, probably at any given time, with the amount of time I've got, there's probably going to be around 7 to 10 pieces of music in these 3 columns, and up to 7 in this splurge column, something like that. And I will be moving music through so that it becomes ready for release. And what that allows you to do is just basically finish loads more music, because you're getting distance away from each individual piece of music, which gives you objectivity, which makes it much clearer what you want to do to it the next time you work on it, because you're basically cycling through the music in the different columns, and they're at different stages. And bear in mind, each of these stages has a different mindset to it, a different way of thinking, a different approach. Because if you try and mix these mindsets, if you try and mix these approaches, it's like putting the brake and the accelerator on at the same time. You start going around in circles. In other words, looping. So, and that might be familiar. So anyway, talking of looping, let's move on to Joni. And I don't know why I said talking of looping. So, hello, Joni. Oh no, hello, Joni. And so, sorry, it's the wrong way around. Yeah. So, hang on, where are we? Yeah, we're all good. Sorry, I'm getting confused with my screens. So Joni, I'm really excited to talk to you about this, because you make music for your day job. And what's interesting is that and I'm sure there's many people watching this who also do that. They make music for clients, like either, like ads or corporate work or, whatever it might be. Or even someone who does remix, a lot of remixes for record labels or something. So they get asked to do this piece of music, and what is your turnaround time for a piece of music for one of your? What's your kind of shortest turnaround time for a piece of music that you get asked to make for instance, an ad or something like that?
About an hour.
About an hour, okay.
Yeah.
But if I said to you, I want you to release a track a day, right, which you could do if it took you an hour, what would you say? As an artist, what would you say?
As an artist, I would freak out.
Right,
and I would start being, yeah.
Right, so what is the reason for that unusual distinction? Because you can make, you already said to me that you can make music within an hour. I mean, I know some of the answers to this already, but yeah. So what's the reason that there's a difference?
Oftentimes doing things for corporate work or for advertisement, there's a template that's there based upon a script or whatever. So it's kind of like a no-brainer at this point. Like at the beginning, it gets this little exposition, they have a little beat area, and then for the tag, you kind of get like this fade out thing happening, or different ways that can fit in. So it becomes very rudimentary. Whereas when you say release something as an artist, all of a sudden it's like, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? This has to be like to the max. This has to be amazing. This has, all these other things start circulating, and it adds all this pressure, basically.
I mean, how many people listen to your music that you make for your day job? How many, what do you reckon the average listenership is?
Probably hundreds of thousands of people across North. I think it's North America and Canada that it gets broadcast to. Yeah.
Okay, so hundreds of thousands of people. And at the start, how many people do you reckon are going to hear your artist music?
Only a handful. I think I'd be lucky if maybe 5 people heard it.
Okay, so it's not that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's likely to be like your mum and your brother and your husband. So people who love you already, right? So it's not that. So where is this coming from? What is this unusual? I mean, when you think about it rationally, it doesn't seem to make much sense, does it? I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're an idiot. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I totally get it. I feel it. I feel it too. But what do you think it is?
I think it's the desire to represent oneself in the best possible light, because I think that's just it. Is this something that I really want to say? Is this 3-minute or 5-minute musical blurb something that is internally truthful to me? And how do I want that represented? I think that's a little bit different.
So let me ask you another question. Let me give you another thought experiment. What are you going to release as? Are you going to release as Joan Bishop or something else?
Joni.
Okay. If you, for instance, made an artist name, I don't know, Sparrow or something. I don't know where that came from, but just a random artist name, would that make it easier?
I think that would make it easier if I also disguise my face.
Okay. So, I mean, is that an option?
Definitely, that's an option. Yeah.
Because one of the benefits of doing a track a week is that you've got a lot of music coming out all the time. So you can always, we're not saying it has to be on the same artist name, right? There aren't any rules around that. It's literally, you just have to release something. And by the way, a release isn't putting up an unfinished piece of music on SoundCloud. The minimum for a release is a finished piece of music, like actual kind of mastered, mixed piece of music on Bandcamp. That's the minimum. But we are all looking to, if we're not already, get it up on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the rest of it as well. But that's where we're starting. Again, we're making it simpler because it's actually easier to release on Bandcamp because you just need to sign up and then fill out a couple of forms and upload it and get some artwork. And so it's a lot easier to do it on Bandcamp. So the minimum is a proper release on Bandcamp, which is properly finished, mixed and mastered. So if you actually started out by releasing under another artist name on Bandcamp, you don't have to have photos of you or anything like that. Maybe that's a way of getting started. Because again, in order to get to Luke said it best, where he said, I'm thinking of this as building the capability, right? So, and how you build a capability, you're a musician. I'm sure you've had music teachers and I'm sure you know how to practice. How do you practice something? What is the process? What do you in order to practice a really hard passage of a piece of music, do you play the entire piece of music from beginning to end over and over again? What do you do?
You do it first slowly and section by section.
Yeah. You break it down into smaller steps and get really good at that bit. And then you gradually, progressively. So this is exactly the same thing. So you can start by releasing as someone else without a photo or, you know, as some kind of mysterious artist, and, you know, start with Bandcamp, and you're free to do whatever you want after that. There's no rules beyond it has to be a track a week. Would that make it easier for you?
It would. It would.
Are you going to do, I mean, you don't have to, but are you going to do that?
I think eventually I'll experiment with that, but I want to go
Great. Love it.
100% all the way, like full throttle. Let's
Brilliant.
push my
I love
limits.
it. I absolutely love
thing.
it. Cool. But, you know, just for anyone else who's thinking of joining us and following along with us and doing it yourself, all of these options are available. Yeah, it's like, I think one of the problems that people have is that they're thinking about a release in the terms of the old music industry rather than in the terms of the new music industry, where it's like everything is in progress now. It's like, it's almost like the difference between streaming and a record. It's like real time is the thing. And a track a week, you know, if you think about almost like a track a week as being, I mean, it's just much more internet-y. It's something, it's like a blog or something. You know what I mean? It's less, you don't have to think of it as being, I'm writing a novel that's going to go into the British Library and academics are going to pore over it for 100 years or anything like that. You don't have to think in those terms. It's just, I'm writing a blog post, a musical blog post. It's okay. No one, like, honestly, I can't remember. I find it hard to remember the bad music by my favorite artists. And by the way, all of them, without exception, has released bad music. Remember that. Right. So yeah. So Joni, and I mean, you have the capability to make music extremely fast. And and I don't want to say, and it's just psychological, the barriers, because I mean, that's like, I mean, it's still real, the psychological barriers you're facing, but recognize that there isn't actually a barrier there, like a physical barrier. It's that you're creating a distinction between those two things. You can give yourself a brief. You can give yourself the same things that your clients give you. You can be your own client if you like.
Yeah.
Right. And say, right. And it's done at this time, because that's what you have to do for your client music. It's done when the minute hand reaches 12, right? And that's it. End of. Yeah.
End of.
I mean, that's the other benefit of this track a week. It's a very time-based thing. Okay, so moving on to Tim, and Tim, you've actually done this. Am I right in thinking off and on for a while? So you're kind of you're sort of probably you're the closest to it after Luke. Do you know what I mean? This is probably easier for you than anyone else bar Luke. So what have you done so far in terms of releasing your music?
Yeah, so far in 2021 I set out for the same one track a week, and then I fell off around the same time that you guys did, but I just kept going for at least one release a month, and from there, end of December, I decided to release an album, and then I picked up the released one track a week in 2022. So I've been doing it for about the last 6 weeks or so. But most of those have been like stuff that I had already in like draft and done, and then I just kind of pushed it over to release.
And one of the things I think that stops people doing something like this is that they are focused, very much focused on the external. What am I going to get out of it? Yeah, I mean, that's why I said to Luke, you're, as far as I know, not a kind of worldwide superstar yet, so why do it? But I mean, I wanted to talk to you about maybe some of the reasons that you're doing it, because your day job is in sort of marketing and that kind of thing. So you understand. I mean, particularly internet marketing. But like marketing businesses on the internet. So you understand something about how that works, which is often, depending on the person, is pretty much the opposite thing to people think. It's like there's this idea that you just do something and then it will just sell itself, right? And that's how it works. Yeah, that is just. I mean, occasionally you might be lucky and win the lottery, kind of, the luck of a lottery winner, and that might happen, but that's just not how it works. So what are your? I mean, this is also about setting expectations. And setting them in a realistic way, i.e., so that you don't go, oh no, it's not working, it's a waste of time. So what are your expectations, or what are the reasons, the external reasons for doing it beyond the process of getting better at making music and all the things that we've talked about so far?
One of the ways that I thought about it was there was something about, I think Russ said it. He's one of the hip hop artists, and he basically said that when you release your tracks, they're basically little salesmen for you. And I thought that was a really great idea. I'm not really sure I feel the same way about like my music being salesmen for me, but certainly it can be ways to connect with other people. And one of the things that I realized is when I started releasing music, one of the external outcomes that I got was people started reaching out to me instead of me having to constantly push stuff out in order for people to hear me. So I released some stuff on my Instagram, and I would share it with a couple of friends. My friends would reach out and just be like, hey, I listened to this, whatever, while I was studying or something like that. And another external reason is obviously you want to make money from your music. And that's still, of course, one of my goals is to be able to achieve that. But I kind of learned to set that more aside because I wanted, kind of really similar to what Luke said, is like you want to get better at the process of releasing music, and you also want to grow a fan base. Also just being aware that it takes time, and it's definitely not an overnight thing at all. But yeah, like some of the external things could just be recognition from other people. It could be trying to create something where if you're in the right place at the right time and you just happen to make a connection with someone who happens to know someone else who is a major big label or something like that, they can make that connection for you. But you certainly can't get that if you don't have anything available.
I mean,
at all.
being in the right place at the right time means that you have to be in a place. And if you're not releasing music, you're not in any place other than your own head and your own door or your own, dreams. So in order to even have the chance, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So it's like, what does that, but you can't expect every shot. In fact, the majority of shots won't go in. But that's okay. I mean, that's okay. Yeah. Was that you, Luke? Yeah.
Yeah, you all. I was gonna say it's that that analogy of like, who are you more likely to help if you see somebody that's like pushing their car or somebody that's standing next to a car that's broken down. You're more likely to help the person pushing the car.
So what happened? Like, I'll give you a great example. I've been talking to a guy about a business opportunity. I won't say what it is, but it's a business. I'd been talking to him for literally years, and we'd never really got around to doing anything. And as soon as I started, I mean, it was literally within a month, started doing the live stream every month. And this guy is a successful, like, I wanted to work with him, but we kind of would meet for drinks and, you know, kind of argue about philosophy. He's wrong. I'm right, obviously. And we'd argue about all kinds of sort of things about reality and everything. He's a great guy. Got on really, really well. But we always had this idea, right? And but we never kind of did anything about it because he always had other things to do. Like, he's a very, very busy guy. As soon as I started doing this live stream every day thing, he was like, "Hey, Mike, do you want to meet to talk about that idea that we've been mulling over?" And it's like, right there is an example of movement creates attention. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't get any attention, stop moving. Because you're not going to get any attention at first. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, "Oh, I'm really afraid of what people will think," and then go, "And I haven't got any attention." It's like, use the non-attention to get used to putting things out. There's a good question here from MMYL, who is, oh god, they've put the ban button right next to the add to broadcast button. so if I accidentally ban someone, please forgive me. So hang on, where is it? What's going on? Ooh, it doesn't.
Want me to read that out loud?
Yeah, read it out loud.
How about completing one track a week, sharing with your subscribers via Bandcamp as private each week, and properly releasing 4 tracks once a month in public there and in other channels?
Right. So, yes, great. You could do that. I think that's absolutely fine. We're not doing that just because it would be really hard to explain. It's just like, right, what I'm going to do is, and then there's like, it's like, everyone's like, so we're just saying a track a week. But I mean, you know, what would be the purpose of keeping it private? I mean, there could be good purposes behind that. I'm not saying there aren't. It's just, we're choosing not to do that just because it's simple, clean, easy. People get it. Track a week. Look, there they are. Boom. But yes, that you could do that. As long as you were releasing to actual people who are actually actual people, you know, not just, you know, your mum or something. Not that there's anything wrong with our mums, but, you know, as long as you're releasing to people, then fine. But we're just choosing to keep it simple and saying we're doing a public track a week. There was another thing that Nandala said here, but I just wanted to highlight and ask Luke about. I've just spent the last 3 weeks finishing my first song, gave myself a deadline to release it, which was super helpful, and it still didn't feel finished. So what would you say to that, Luke? How would you help Nandala think about this? Oh, I seem to have lost Luke's audio.
Oh, there we go. Am I back? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, feel finished.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it ever feels finished, right? It could.
What even does that mean? What is a feeling of finished? I mean, I can imagine it if just after I've gone to the toilet. Yeah. I feel finished. but I don't know what feeling finished means. What is feeling finished? It's a bit like, I was talking to one of the automatic music machinists about sorry, my sense of humor. Anyway, so I was talking to my automatic music machinists about the Gnomes and the Pixies. And I was saying that there's it's almost like I think and I've had this too, we believe somehow that there's going to be some kind of magical sign, like from a gnome or a pixie's going to go, "It's finished," right? Oh yes, right, now I'm ready, right? And then right? And that phrase "feel finished" is kind of a little bit like that. It's as if there's going to be some feeling that now I'm certain it's finished. That does not happen. It has happened a couple of times in the thousands of pieces of music that I've finished. Yeah, and funnily enough, I was probably wrong. So that feeling was wrong. But I don't even know what it was. What is feeling finished? I mean, how do you know something's finished, Luke?
It's like 12 p.m. on Friday.
Right. So that is one definition of finished, is that at a particular time.
Yeah, it's like there's some quote. It's from this book, The Practicing Mind, and it's like most of our anxiety comes from assuming that there's a state of perfection that exists. And I mean, that could be applied to, it's basically like most of the problems that music producers face comes from the idea that there's a state of perfection that they will reach with their track. And until it reaches that state of perfection, it's not finished.
So we've got the Nandol has come with the classic objection. No, there were definitely cringeworthy moments in the track. Just FYI. Right. Yes, that is exactly what we're talking about. You will always feel like that. That's the point. That's exactly the point. You listen to almost anybody who is a great musician talking about their past work. A lot of them will say, I just don't listen to it. I can't stand listening to it because all I can hear are mistakes. Yeah. I have been in contact for a long time with one of my musical heroes, and he has said a few times to me, I just want to feel like I just want to be able to release music that I never cringe at. And I'm like, that's not possible. If you are progressing as a musician, which is what you want to do, you will always, at a future state, or even right in the moment, cringe at certain parts of it. Yeah, and there might be different levels of cringe, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, you decide to release despite cringing. That's what a professional does. Professional doesn't make a pro sound. A professional doesn't do any, like, that's not the definition of professional. A pro finishes it and moves on. A real pro. Brilliant. So we've been on for an hour. If you'd like to learn about the Automatic Music Machine, then click the link in the description. In half an hour, I'm going to talk more about exactly how I'm attacking this crazy plan in my context of having, I don't even know where the time's going to come from. I don't think there is any time. But I've got a kind of plan of what I'm going to do. So if you feel like joining me for a bit more of a deep dive into what Zentor is doing, then click the link in the description over on the YouTube channel. That will be in about half an hour when I just set things up. Follow along. What we'll probably be doing is recording the odd video here and there, video conversation, talking about what we're doing, but we will also be doing these monthly live streams where we're catching up with this one track a week project. If you want to join in the track a week as well, then you can just do it and yourself too, and post in the comments the next time we're on to let us know that you are doing it, and who knows, maybe we can get you on to talk about it or something like that in a future show. So with all that said, good luck everyone. Good luck Alex and Joni, particularly, who don't have any experience of doing that. Luke will be following your lead on this. I don't know what you're doing with your hands. I hope it's not rude.
I was trying to point at people, but then I realized it's the camera. So we're all beginners at this.
Excellent. Yes. So I'm going to go and attempt to feel finished before I do my next live stream. And on that edifying note, I shall love you and leave you and say onwards and upwards.